Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be taking a look at Invaders Corruption, a very cool, procedurally generated, almost like a twin-stick shooter, only it's really kind of mouse and keyboard driven instead. If you could imagine something like Geometry Wars, only you can spawn your own everything based on a seed that you actually create and write into the options. And I'm not sure to what degree things change, but it has a whole bunch of different options to it, which you'll see there's actually like power-ups and various high score bonuses and multipliers and all that cool stuff. So let's take a quick look at that before we get started. Info/how to play. So use the mouse to aim, keyboard to move, WASD, and fire left mouse and right mouse for a bomb. By the way, you can also toggle on or off. You can see this down here. F7 to toggle off auto fire. I prefer it off, but if you'd rather have it just keep shooting over and over again, that is up to you. For high score, fly in a risky way. Use a difficult seed. Gain maximum multiplier. Upon triggering a special, its name is shown, adding score and frenzy points. When the frenzy bar is full, time slows and your game points multiplier doubles. So it's got really cool presentation to it. Terrific music also, I have to say. I'm really into the music in this game. And a whole bunch of little flourishes, which make this a really great, cool little find, I have to say. And one that doesn't cost you anything, so there's that on top of it. You can see here all the power-ups. Hopefully you're getting a quick read through all these. I haven't actually checked them all myself yet. Player ship, that's you. That looks different depending on what seed you generate. We've got a cannon, which is permanent, increases your firepower, bouncy shot, rate of fire, super shot, shots pierce most enemies. I think we want that, but that's not permanent. Super bounce shot, bounce and super shot. Shot speed, time stretch, slows down time, engine boost, immolation, fire from all directions, that sounds awesome. Clear the screen with a bomb, and a shield, which is permanent, protects and can be upgraded. So there's a lot of things to look for here, and hopefully it's going to be a good time. Let's look at the options, and we will give it a run. Frame buffer effects on, buffer quality is coarse. I can set that also to normal. I think coarse looks a little bit nicer. Oh, there's also fine. Blobby. Yeah, I'm going to stick it there, but feel free to put it wherever you like that looks good to you. Motion blur is on high right now. Backgrounds, seed defined. Alright, so that's another thing you can change. Set it to none. Styles. Oh, okay, I guess it's going to pick between those depending on which seed you have. Oh, we've got one that looks a little bit like snow. The effect from ZSNES, apparently. The same thing, but like with a filter over it. Like a camouflage effect, a greener one, a grid, which is a little bit more Geometry Wars-like, and then a moving around grid of stuff. Oh, there's quite a few options here, actually. I'm going to leave it at seed defined. Particle amount is on high. Let's put it to insane, because why not? And we've got screen shake on. So I should warn you guys, of course, this is maybe possibly one of those epilepsy warning episodes. There should be some flashing lights. It's got some fireworks and neon lights exploding and all of that. Oh, and I forgot to set where I can set edit core seed is where you change what you want the core seed to be about. So right now I have it set to Indie Impressions. If I change it to Mar, that is a seed difficulty of 57.1 with a base multiplier of 1. If I just add a couple of random letters and numbers to the end, you can see the numbers and everything are all changing. Not sure if there's really a specific way to make things harder, but that might be a thing that we could figure out at some point. But I kind of liked the one that was generated for Indie Impressions, so let's do that again. And we'll do an arena survival. So here we go, and of course there is also online leaderboards. I have that set to local, I believe, right now. So yeah, we're not messing with that, but feel free if you prefer. So we're gonna steer our character around and shoot these little glowing neon arrows around. There's already a power-up in place. We'll see if we can make our way over there. You can see a reticle, of course, which is where your shots are going to go. You don't have the fastest shots to start out, but again, there are power-ups for that. And as things start to get a little bit more hectic, you will be also introduced to some more difficult enemies. The ship feels a little bit slidey. It's not quite as tight as the controls in Geometry Wars, and unfortunately I think there will be comparisons made because it's a little bit inevitable sometimes, being that that is pretty much my favorite game of that style. I know there are plenty of others, and it even was an imitator of games like Robotron, so it's not like it's the first one, but it's the one that I think I spent the most time with, and I kind of fell in love with the genre from. So if that counts at all. Geometry Wars Retro Evolved, I should say specifically. And I have a huge fondness for arcade games in general. I don't play a ton of them on the channel, but it's mostly because I feel like a lot of them retread old ground. And you could possibly say that this is a little bit derivative as well. Like I already said, comparisons will be made to Geometry Wars, but it also does have some elements to it that are a bit different. There certainly weren't that degree of power-ups going on in Geometry Wars, and the visuals are definitely quite different as well. In addition to the whole procedural generation thing, which I think is really, really cool. I should probably drop a bomb at some point, but I'm trying to wait until things get a little bit more hectic, because right now I feel like I have things under control for the most part. We've switched to a new music track. Again, absolutely loving the music. The musician in charge of these did a fantastic job, and I would totally listen to the soundtrack on its own, with or without the game playing. But it suits the nature of this style of a graphic aesthetic really well. You know, maybe a little bit more on the bleeps and bloops side could be argued to be more preferable, but, you know, honestly for me this sounds just fine. It would also be really cool if you could determine things like the sound effects with the seed as well, and have that also be procedurally generated. Imagine that could actually be done, too. If you take a bank of, like, 5 to 10 sounds that you could use for the bullets, and then alter them with pitch up and down and various, you know, frequency manipulations and wave forms and things. Just dropped a bomb there, because I think things were getting a little bit real all of a sudden. We'll see in the top right corner, I think that's our pressure meter or something like that. Oh, we've got a double cannon, which should help me get through this a little bit. The enemies, for the most part, in this particular seed seem to be a little bit dim-witted, but that's only because, as you noticed, our seed was set to like 45% difficulty, so I wouldn't expect this to be the most tasking one. I was kind of wanting to hopefully find one that's going to be really, really hard and see how things get when that happens. But for now, I think it's kind of good to show off the ramping of difficulty as we go on further into this. There are, of course, some of these little pixelated bit creatures that will have a little bit more, you know, aggression to them and seem to follow you a little bit more as well. And in that respect, it occasionally reminds me a little bit of something like Inside a Star-Filled Sky, which had some very interesting graphics sort of based on procedurally generated bit creatures like this, too. I never did get to play that on the channel, unfortunately, because I had trouble with recording it. Maybe that's something we could go back to later on, now that I have a few new recording techniques under my belt. Because that's actually a bit of an older game now at this point. Oh, I just went to use a bomb, and I just freaking crashed right into him. Alright, new high score of 50,845 into your name, Network Defender. Well, you know who I am. I've decompiled 491 invaders. What? I couldn't get to 500. A spinner killed you. Okay. Well, I'm pretty high up on the local leaderboards, but that's not really necessarily anything to be all that proud of. Let's press escape for the menu, and we'll go back to our options and see about possibly a more difficult seed, if there's one. I'd like to see, can we go over 100% difficulty? That would be pretty sweet. But if I just write difficult, I'm just checking each letter as I go, in case one of them happens to get particularly hard. Nope. What if I write insane? Nope. It went, oh, at that one, 71.4 when I get to INSA. And then we'll just add a few random letters. Be very curious to know if there's like a specific reason that that happens, that it makes one particularly harder over another. It would also be kind of cool if there were just like a few default game setting modes, so you could just play, like, if you want to play super difficult, and everyone would be ranked on the same seed on that. Because right now it seems a little bit like a crapshoot. I don't know what to type in here to make things harder. Alright, let's just go with that. Seed difficulty of 81% and base multiplier of 1.25. It doesn't seem like it goes much higher than 80-something. But you'll see the backgrounds change. We've got a different character model now, or different ship. I think possibly the contrail behind the ship might be a little bit different. The colors and shapes of things are all changed. The projectiles look a little bit similar, though. Didn't they have sort of like these arrow shapes before as well? But I thought I'd seen those be different in another seed. And everything seems to be moving a little bit faster now as well. So it's you could think of this as almost like the Cloudberry Kingdom of Geometry Wars, if that makes any sense at all to you guys. Multiplier, we've reached 2x. Oh, geez. Okay, I used a bomb there, which was probably not necessary, but... well, it was necessary, but I probably shouldn't have put myself in a position where it became necessary that quickly. Keeping my eye open for power-ups, but I'm not really seeing a whole lot. You'll see that dude over there on the right as I died there that looks like sort of like a broken building. That one happens to fragment off into a few pieces, so then you end up with this like asteroid-style gameplay as well. Let's go back to the menu and see again. I think the main emphasis here is like, what do these different seeds look and play like, because I think that's the most fun part. Seed, ski, derp, derp. Nope, these are just getting easier the longer the characters get, it seems. What if I just start typing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Everybody in the car, so come on, let's ride. Oh, oh, that one's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gets you to 93.1% difficulty. And it looks menacing as well. Alright, let's try this out. Projectiles look the same again, so maybe the projectiles don't change, but clearly the character you're playing as does. And whatever we're playing as now, it looks a little bit like an angry pot or a vase or something, and it also reminds me a little bit of this game. I'm trying to remember the name. Is it Quarth? I think it's Quarth. That was on the Game Boy, and had a bizarre variety of ships that shot blocks, and you had to try and complete the blocks to make solid ones for combos, and of course we've just been annihilated there. Let's just start over. And it had one that actually looked very similar to that. That was actually a really fun game. I'm surprised nobody's ever remade that, or if they have, I never noticed it. Sometimes I would like some larger creatures to be shooting in this, and I was kind of hoping that that would be another factor that would get scaled a bit with the procedural generation. Maybe you could find a specific seed that might actually play a little bit like its own total different game type, where maybe all of the creatures end up being large and break apart or something like that, and then you end up with this endless, you know, asteroids complex going on. Alright, this is definitely a bit harder, you're right. You're right, game. But it is enjoyable nonetheless, even with a higher difficulty. It's very pretty to look at. The music, again, continues to be engaging. We've got a power-up over there, which I don't recognize them yet by sight. Oh, get it, get it, get it! Immolation! Alright, well that blew everything up in a small radius, which is nice. But I would prefer a shot speed up, if that's a possibility. This game has a ton of potential. I could totally see this going on to become an even bigger thing. With some of those suggestions, I think, that I mentioned could be very cool. Some preset game modes, even more diversification, or diversity going on with the seed generation, if you get even more, maybe even like procedurally generated music and sound effects, even crazier visuals, you know, if that's something that people want, which they might not necessarily, but even changing with the way the fireworks might work, the physics to things, all of that could be manipulated through this procedural generation of these seed words, and I think that's just a really cool concept. And I'm really happy that I happened to run into Invaders Corruption on Game Jolt. So this is one that I highly recommend that you guys check out if you're in for a really good kind of arcade, leaderboard-driven high-score fest. And maybe if you're a Geometry Wars fan or something like that, I think you'll get a good amount of gameplay out of this. And especially for the big old price of free, can't really ask for much more than that. And that's the kind of stuff that I love to find on this series. Games like this that are extremely fun and addictive, and generally won't break the bank either. So I think you could do a lot worse if you're looking for an arena-style shooter. Go check it out. Again, it's free. Link's going to be right in the description if you want to go ahead and play it. Let me know what your high scores are. If you found any particularly great seeds that you think are worth checking out, feel free to comment that, and just let me know what you think about this game style in general. If you play a lot of these style of games, if you've been a fan of arena shooters in the past or twin-stick shooters, that's one thing that I think is kind of unfortunately missing. It doesn't natively support a 360 controller, because I could see that working out pretty well. Just get the exact same controls as, you know, the majority of the other twin-stick shooters. I'm sure it could be adapted via, you know, some sort of control mechanism, but I think the fact that we have to use the mouse to point around the cursor means, unless there's some sort of a way to control the mouse relative to the ship, there's not really going to be a way to do the whole twin-stick shooter thing, unfortunately. But if somebody can figure it out, I'd love to try it that way. I might have a little bit of a better time controlling the character, because right now it's pretty slidey, I have to say. But, you know, tighten that up a little bit, or even make that another element that can be controlled through the seeds and stuff, and maybe that'll be even more fun. So every time you play a different game, maybe it could be a totally different experience, but that's just my 2 cents anyway. So go play it, let me know what you think. Feel free to leave any support you'd like in the comments. I'd love to hear from all of you, and if you are enjoying the series, feel free to leave a like, of course, only if you think I deserve it. Did I make it on the high scores there? I think, oh, I just made the last spot. And be sure to come back again tomorrow, because I've got new episodes every single day, so check out the description. Find some of the other videos in the series. This is now, we're 601 episodes in, I believe, and the playlists are going to be all over the place. But if you want to just find them all together, either check around on my channel or indie-impressions.com, which is again in the description if you want to see all of them. And I totally missed that power-up, unfortunately. But that is going to do it for another day. Hope to see you back again tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed the game and the video, and I will see you then. Have a lovely night, guys.